Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to everyone. I am Heather Clark, your declutter expert, and today we are going to talk about how we are stuck. Now, what do we do? I'm here to also help you make a plan, enjoy the journey, or embrace the journey, and declutter along the way. So, on today's episode, like I said, is all about you started decluttering. You watched the last episode and you said, "Okay, I get it. I'm gonna start this thing. I'm gonna start this thing. This has been on my mind." And you start. You start wherever you start. Doesn't matter. And then you're stuck. And you're like, "Oh no. Now what? Now what do I do?" I implore you to figure out where exactly you got stuck, to understand, okay, did you get stuck because there's just too much stuff? If that's the case, totally understandable. Work on the one area and just try and get that one area done. And that's it. That is your goal for the day. If you are stuck because you found, let's say you were decluttering a space and you found something that reminded you something else. So let's say you got stuck because you're now reminiscing on the memory of what was or what could have been or what, or, just that you miss it or that you miss that time in your life or anything like that. That's the emotional part that comes with decluttering your stuff. And that part is quite interesting to get to and to come from. So if you get to that point and you're like, okay, I'm stuck because I have found something, oh my gosh, tears are rolling down your eyes, all that stuff, pause, take a break, take a breather, and understand that that is going to happen, and understand that that is part of the process. Because when we start clearing the physical stuff, the mental and emotional and spiritual stuff comes with it. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That at some point, I'm not saying maybe it will be immediately, like while you're actually decluttering, but at some point, that mental, the emotional, and the spiritual stuff will surface because you are clearing out. You're moving your body and moving your hands and moving your mind stuff everywhere. So when you clear that up, just like, let's say you have a dusty shelf and you go and you touch it. Well, now you've just disturbed the rest of the dust. So it's now up in the air. It's up in the, so that's what your mind clutter and your emotional and all the spiritual stuff comes out when you start moving the physical stuff. So if you're at that point where you're like, I just saw this in my drawer and it reminded me of a time that, whether it's your childhood, whether it's a time in your life that, you felt you were a different person and you feel like, I wish I was back there. No, you don't. It's okay. You don't want to wish that you're back there because you've grown from that. Whether you understand it or not, you have grown from that position. Who you were a year ago is different than who you are now. Who you were a month ago is different from who you are now. And that is amazing. Who you are, let's say, okay, you just started decluttering. You made the decision. You're like, okay, I'm making the decision. Well, a month ago, you didn't make that decision. Something had to have happened within that month within you to realize that I need to clear this space. You're not sure what it is. You don't know. You just like, I don't know, but this physical stuff that I can see, that I can touch, that gets in my way, that has just tripped me the other day, that's gotten in your way. So now you're like, now I've made a decision. So that person you were a month ago is different than the person you are today. You have made a decision that you're no longer going to you no longer want this clutter in your life, because that physical clutter is a representation of the mental, emotional, and spiritual stuff that's inside. So once we clear that out, then we go, oh, this is what it actually was about. So if you get stuck at that point, like I said, take a break. Take a break. Have that cry if you need to. Be angry if it brings back those memories of anger. If you've got like okay, this is one thing that I wish, you didn't have to be 18 because I would definitely would have brought my kids to this because I love those, we have one here in Ontario, Canada. It's basically like it's called the rage room, and you literally like you're geared up in safety gear, and you just get into this room and you get to break and smash and like whatever in that room. I have yet to be in one, but I absolutely wish they had one that was kid friendly because there are some times where I'm just like, my kids just need that outlet because you can just see, and it's not because they're angry children. It's just because they're learning to express themselves, just like adults. We still learn to express ourselves. I still am learning how to express myself and to verbalize what I'm thinking and to verbalize what I'm feeling. But again, I'm understanding that because I've cleared a lot of the space out. I've cleared stuff that doesn't belong. And here's the thing. Decluttering, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, never ends. Never ends. I wish people would be like, "Oh, perfect. Oh, my place is a great, beautiful. Oh, it's all organized. It's all color coordinated. It's all in nice boxes or containers or whatever the case would be." Well, guess what? Life hits you over and over and over again, whether it's a good thing or bad. Maybe you got a different job. Maybe you found out you were pregnant or you're having a baby or whatever. If you're the dude and you're obviously not the one pregnant, but or whatever, their life just keeps coming at us. And that's the joy about it is the change. The change is what you have to embrace. The change and the journey that change brings is something to embrace because it will always happen. So when you embrace it and you understand that it's always going to be there, always. There's never going to be a time where change is not happening. So when you embrace it and you realize, okay, this clutter here, and you start to realize that when the physical clutter shows up, you're like, maybe there's something more. Maybe there's something more to this. Maybe if I just do this little area, something will come up. And this is what I used to do. This is how I started even my cleaning business because I had so much going on and I didn't even know whatever. I needed to be away from people. I needed to be on my own, doing my own thing. So I started my own cleaning business because there was just so much going on in my life at the time that, first of all, finding traditional employment with my schedule with my kids at the time and stuff like that was just not working. But so I started my own cleaning business and I realized, and it's on my website too, as I started cleaning and as I started, it wasn't even my home, it wasn't even my stuff. It was other people's stuff and clearing it out and cleaning the walls and cleaning the mirrors and cleaning all that. I was like, oh crap, this is actually lethargic for me. Like, I don't think that's the right word I'm looking for. But anyways, this is actually enjoyable. This is actually, oh my God, that's why I did that. That's why I said that. That's why that happened. And it continued and continued and continued with each house I cleaned, with each whatever. I was able to, even though, like I said, it wasn't even my stuff. It was other people's stuff, but it was the physical motion of clearing stuff and cleaning stuff and changing the dynamic, the energy, the everything of the rooms that I was doing that with. It helped me clear my mind and clear the things and understand that had I not been doing that, there was one incident and I've got a picture of it and I'm going to I know this is going to be on my own YouTube channel when I get going and stuff, is there's a picture I have that I had a broken elastic band. And it's funny because had I not done the work beforehand, I know only based on what I was going through and the mental and emotional and spiritual clutter it was causing internally, that hairband broke and it was my only hairband. And I was cleaning at somebody's house or whatever, and it broke. And my initial reaction was I was ready to be so pissed off. And then I caught it. And I went, whoa, what is this? It was just a hairband that broke. Why am I so emotional because of a hairband breaking or hair elastic breaking? And then I went, because it's not about the hair elastic. It was never about the hair elastic. It was about what was going on and how I couldn't do this or how, what, it wasn't exactly how I wanted. And that's where I want you to get with decluttering is to catch yourself. Yes, you could still have those emotions. Yes, I still felt like angry because I was like, now I don't have a hair life. So I ended up having to tie it up and do whatever. So I was resourceful afterwards. But I didn't wallow in that sorrow or in that anger or in that whatever emotion I was feeling at the time for too long. It was like, I kid you not, maybe like 30 seconds to a minute of going, and then I went, really, Heather? You know what this is about. And that's usually why we get stuck, is because we aren't aware, because we see all of these shows that are like, oh, just clear your space and you're good. Oh, just clear it out and you'll be fine. And then they forget to remind you that the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual stuff will, I promise you, surface. And the problem with those shows, I'm not going to name any names, but I know we all know them because they're sensationalized, because they make it seem like, it's just so easy just to clear this stuff out. Oh, just move it here, buy a whole bunch of bins and just put stuff in bins. Okay, that's great. But what happens when people get stuck? Like I'm talking about today. What happens when they reach to that point of they found those photos that remind them of this, or they found that, let's say they went through something back in the day, or let's say they even found something of somebody who passed away in their life that really meant huge, and they thought that the grief, they had been able to deal with that. Oh, not deal, like, because you never deal with grief. You move through it and it still becomes part of your life forevermore. But let's say they find something and, it had been 5, 10 years or whatever, even a year. And they find that thing that reminds them of that person, of a time that absolutely was beautiful, was, whatever. Where do these shows tell you to help you move through that part? That is part of the thing. Because I don't know. I haven't watched all of them. I only watched a few episodes. So I might be, maybe they do. Maybe they do. But by what people have told me of these shows that they have watched more than I have, they don't go over this stuff. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you are going to get stuck. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Whether you're stuck because of the fact of there's just too much stuff and it became overwhelming. Whether or not you found something that reminds you of a time in your life that, was either good, bad, angry, sad, happy, whatever, all of the emotional wheel. Whether or not, you've taken breaks, you can get stuck because you haven't taken breaks. That's another one. That's one that I want to make sure that no matter where you are or when you're doing it or whatever the case may be, that you have to take breaks. Do not go for 20 hours at a time. Do not think that, doing it for 2, 3, 4 hours is going to be like, yeah, I totally powered through this. You're going to all of a sudden do those 3, 4 hours and then you've made the mess, because decluttering will make the chaos. This is what I'm saying. Embrace the chaos, embrace the journey, because decluttering makes it worse before it gets better. And you've done that. You've gotten to the point, you've been decluttering for 3, 4 hours, and then you take your, you take a step back and you're like, how is this helping? I was supposed to be decluttering. Now I've just made more mess of my house. I've made more of a mess of this room. I've made more of a mess of my desk. But that's the process. It's taking the break, going, okay, do it for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break, go back for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break, because each time you span out and you zoom in, you span out, you zoom in and you span out, you start to see things differently. You start to go, oh, okay, do I really need that? No, I don't. I only got that because of the fact that it was on this show and this show convinced me to buy it. And I hopped on Amazon at 12 o'clock in the morning and, put it in my cart, and the next day it was delivered to me. But I didn't actually want it or need it. I don't have a use for it. I've tried to use it for whatever, etc. It doesn't work. This is why I always say, do not buy a thing when it comes to actual like containers or organization or whatever. You want to clear out everything that you're no longer in your current self, your current life, your current state of being does not want anymore. And then you can decide if you want to be a little fancier. I don't do fancy. I just use what I already have. 9 times out of 10, if anything, it's only, if I would rather have something like I buy a container, but it's usually at the dollar store. Because honestly, I prefer to use what I already have because chances are once I clear stuff out of one basket, chances are that basket is now empty and I'm like, "Oh, well, I could use that over here instead," as opposed to if I had bought something, then now I have 2 baskets. So, I'm work with what you already have, and if what you already have has been used and utilized, then okay, maybe let's work with, let's figure it out, but make a list first. I always say make a list, really understand why you want those things, and if you still want them, okay, move on, and then you find them. But I always try and find the best deal. Like I usually go to like secondhand stores. Like this is why when I said there was a designer that was on that she had talked about like your design type or whatever. I was like, eclectic is one of them, right? Like other people's stuff or whatever, because I'm just like, hey, you want to get rid of that really good couch or whatever? Sure, I'll take it because it's better than the one that I had. I declutter the old one or I give it to somebody else, whatever. So, anyways, that's just what it is. And so when you get stuck, it's because of time, because you've done so much and it's overwhelming. And then you get stuck to that point. Like I said, take a break, go take a walk, go do whatever. Another reason why, have you prepared yourself before decluttering so that when you are decluttering, it's not a daunting task? So what I mean by that is, do you have upbeat music? Do you have upbeat music where you're, doing something so that it gets your body going? It's like, I don't know. For me, I always used to, but like anytime I cleaned or whatever, I always had the music going. I'm not a music person. Even working during the day, I usually don't have music. I usually just have like frequencies going on or whatever, or nothing at all. Like I like silence sometimes, but when I'm doing something like that, I need that energy in the background, and it has to be upbeat or whatever is upbeat to you. Some people like the hard heavy metal that gets them going and stuff, but make it so that it's music that you enjoy, that will keep your energy up and high vibe type thing. I don't know how else to say it, but so have you prepared that? And then another one is obviously the taking breaks and making sure, are you doing this alone or are you doing with somebody else? Because I always say it's much easier, even if it's on video, like you're watching me on video right now. These are the way that this is how I used to do my decluttering sessions, is on video. We all used to jump on Zoom and we would declutter. So I'd be like, all right, what are you guys all doing? They'd all tell me. And I'm like, all right, you got 45 minutes. And on the screen, I would put a 45-minute timer. They would declutter. Usually I did my decluttering, whether it was my digital decluttering or I would actually like what's next on the agenda, I'd do that. And then we'd come back after those 45 minutes, we do a 15-minute break. And in that 15-minute break, it forced some still tried to work through, but I'm like, take a break, please. And we went through and we're like, okay, how's everything going? Well, I started doing that basket, but then I found this, which put me down to the rabbit hole to that, which turned me into this, which turned me into that. So it stops that. That's another reason why taking a break is awesome, because then it gets you back. Oh, you said you wanted that basket done by the end of the session. So we usually did like 3 sessions, so 3 45 minutes or 2, depending on the day that we did it. So I said, you said by the end of this session, you wanted that basket emptied and cleared and whatever. Let's focus back on that basket and get that cleared out so that you can keep your word to yourself. Doesn't matter if you say it and you don't keep the word to me, but let's keep our word to ourselves, because I think that's the one that we neglect the most. Is we can tell somebody else and we will absolutely, oh my God, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be there at 4 o'clock, whatever. I will be there at 4. And then you say yourself, oh, I wanted to get that done by 4. 4 o'clock rolls around. Oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow. For some reason, we can let ourselves down more than when we let somebody else down. So that's why the buddy system is awesome because you're telling your buddy, whoever it is, whether it's on video or actually in person, or whether it's even your family members, this is what we wanted to get done. Let's do it. Take a break. Did we do that or did we get sidetracked? Crap, we got sidetracked. Let's get back on track because we said by the end of these, however long we're going to do this for, we said that this is whatever that we're going to do. That's why having the plan to begin with is awesome because it gets you to, okay, what was my goal before this session started? Am I finishing that goal? Or did I get distracted with 20 other goals? Because guess what? Those 20 other goals, yes, we will get to them. Let's mark them down. Let's just write them down. Oh, I said I wanted to do this. Have a little notepad beside you as you're decluttering because guess what? As you're decluttering the physical, your mental will be like, oh crap, I forgot about that. Oh crap, I need to do that. So have a pad of paper and a pen beside you as you're decluttering so that those little notes, you're not going to forget them because you're going to write them down, but you're going to come to them later. So that's usually why we get stuck because we go down the rabbit hole of, oh, this, oh, that, or this. And then, yeah, and it was just prepping beforehand. Like I said, like your prep beforehand, making sure that A, you've got your buddy system, B, you've got the music going, and C, I'd like the biggest one is, are you in the mood? Are you in the mood to actually declutter? Or did something happen right before or that morning or that evening or whatever, right before you were starting to declutter? Did something happen that put you in from a, yes, I get to declutter to, fuck, I just realized I'm not sure if this is a child's thing, but pardon me if we need to bleep that out later, Jessica. But it's a matter of, oh crap, now I have to declutter. So now your mind is already there. Like you've just added to your mental clutter because of the fact that you're now going, crap, I don't want to do this now. But you're going to end up forcing yourself because you're like, well, I already said this and this is and this is the only time I made. And then the journey from that point on is just going to be downhill because you haven't prepared yourself. And it's okay to say that, oh, okay, on Thursday from this time to that time, that's when we're going to get it done. And then something happens Thursday morning that you realize, oh, crap, now I have to. And once you get to that crap part, that's when you want to kind of pause and go, would it be better for me and for this space if I, A, do something that will make me happy, like whether you want to exercise, whether you want to take a walk, whether you need to eat. Because I know with me, I get hangry. Oh, I get hangry. Sometimes that's my problem is I just haven't eaten. So I'm like, crap, go grab something to eat first. Prep yourself because you know you're going to be doing this for, a couple hours. Go get something to eat, come back here, make sure you have a drink, make sure you have whatever set up. Because otherwise you're going to build that mentality in your head of, I hate decluttering. I hate doing this because every time you try to do it, it's always something happened beforehand that causes you to have that, I don't want to do this. I should. This is so annoying. This is so boring. And that's like, who wants to do that? Like, think about it on Monday mornings. How many people hate Monday mornings when it comes to work? Because they keep telling themselves that over and over again. Oh, crap. I have to go to work today. As opposed to, I get to go to work. I get to wake up and do this. I get to physically remove this stuff from my life because it's no longer serving me as who I am today. Thank you. You did your job for a year ago, last month, last week, 10 years ago, depending on how long this thing's been in your life or these things have been in your life. You want to obviously be grateful for it because it has brought you to where you are today. But today it is no longer serving you. It is no longer serving the person you are, the life you're in, just where you are in life, where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that's why you had that tingling of crap. I need to declutter this. That's why you're in that position of, okay, I've now started, but now what? Now what? Now I've gotten stuck because I got to do this. Oh, did I make sure all these things were done ahead of time? No. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to go do something fun, whether it's dancing around in the kitchen for 5 minutes to get that energy back up and to get your body moving or whatever, whether it's going out for a walk and getting that fresh air. If it's, well, here it's chilly as anything. I swear Mother Nature is going through menopause right now, but like there's just, you want to get that thought of, "Ugh, I have to do this," to a thought of, I get to do this. I get to clear out the old version of me so that I can bring in the new version. So I can celebrate the new version with a different space in my home so that I feel different. So it feels like who I am today. So it doesn't, I don't look over in the corner and I see a whole bunch of papers hanging out there. And I know I have to declare them, but they're on the side of my eye. I'm trying to do the, I don't have them, I'm just saying. But you know that they're there, and that's going to take a toll on your emotions. It's going to take a toll on your mental part. And of course, it's going to take a toll of your house and your spiritual side too, because you just know it's there. You know that it's part of your life. You know that it's part of whatever. And you're like, I need to clean this out. So you start, then you get stuck. And then you go, okay, now to get out of that stuckness is like I said, is do something that is happy. Make sure that you're prepared before you declutter. So what are you going to do with this stuff? That is actually, I'm not going to go through that exactly in detail because that's actually the next episode, by the way, is what do you do with all this stuff now? Like what happens? Where does it go? What do you do? How do you make sure? So that'll be the next episode. But basically, you just want to make sure that you are prepared before you declutter. And that includes mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then physically. So physically decluttering. Let's say you're choosing a room. You want to make sure that, it's a room that is not too large in the sense of, okay, it's a full room that needs to be decluttered, like the entire thing. Okay, split it up. What is the one thing, the one simple thing that I can do for 45 minutes? Go do that for 45 minutes. Like I said in the last live, I had said, write it down. Write down, okay, I'm going to do the bedroom. Okay. And your next step is I need to clear off the treadmill because it has clothing right now. Perfect. That's 45 minutes. You can do that in 45 minutes. And time yourself. And I literally say, put a timer on, because when you know you're being timed somehow for whatever reason, if we give ourselves an hour, it's going to take an hour. If we give ourselves a half an hour, it takes a half an hour. But if we give ourselves 4 hours, it's going to take 4 hours. And those 4 hours is, if you can do it in half an hour, do it in the half hour. Time yourself. Do it in a half hour. If you need 2 half-hour times, that's fine. But you being timed somehow gets us going. Like even when it comes to work, like there are times where like I've seen people do the exact same thing in 2 hours that I'm like, why, that could have been done in like at least one. So why, like, how did it take 2 hours? Because we allow ourselves. There's a law. I forget what the law is, and I'm not going to try and say it. But whatever time we give it, that's how long it's going to take. So give yourself 45 minutes to do those things. And if you have to do it in 2 sessions of 45 minutes, fine, perfect. 2 sessions of 45 minutes. As opposed to, you didn't time yourself, you get distracted, time becomes non-existent when you're decluttering, by the way, unless you're timing yourself. And 3 hours can go by and you're like, what have I accomplished at this point? So those are usually the main reasons why we get stuck, and giving you examples of how to get out of that stuck stage, the stuck feeling, the part of, oh crap, now what? Well, is it because of emotional and mental stuff? If it is, take a break. Is it because you are literally, your body is reacting, because our bodies will react before our mind pays attention to what our body is reacting to? Could it be reacting to the fact of, I have to give up my old self? Because sometimes letting go of who we were, when we say it in that sense, is like heartbreaking. We think, but I liked her, but I liked them. They kept me safe. They kept me whatever. But if you think about it in a way that is appreciative of, I get to let go of the old version of me. I get to be somebody new. I get to be that person that I said I wanted to be, but I also get to clear this physical stuff out, which of course the mental and the emotional stuff and the spiritual stuff comes with it. So yeah, so that is that. And then make sure you have a buddy. Make sure you're prepped with a buddy, make sure you're prepped with the time, make sure you're prepped with all that stuff. And then the stuck part, 9 times out of 10 is probably just the emotional, mental, and spiritual stuff coming to the surface. So yeah, and oh, I was about to say, I'm like, Sacred Yin Secret says, I feel like I'm forever decluttering. And that is because you are. You will always, always be decluttering at some point in your life, at some point in, even in within the same month. Because even I have been decluttering and cleaning and stuff like that since what, 2000, when did I open my business? 2016? Yeah, my cleaning business was 2016, I want to say. 16. I'm going to say 16, only because I don't actually know the date. And this is why I write things down too, because dates and me, we're not always best friends. But yeah, because I don't keep that stuff up, because trying to remember everything is also the mental clutter that we need to start clearing out as well, because trying to remember all this stuff is just, it's too much. It's too much. So you clear it out. And this is why pad to paper, pen to paper, pad to paper. Seriously. Pen to paper is honestly how I get my mental stuff out. I have to write everything down. Yes, I have a phone. Yes, I can put notes in there. Usually I put it in I text myself type thing. But for me, digital just doesn't work. If it works for you, perfect. Write it in the digital as opposed to writing down on the piece of paper as you're decluttering of the ideas or the whatever comes to your mind that you have to visit later. But for the most part, honestly, it's a matter of just making sure that you are prepped mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually prepped beforehand. Whether you want to do let's say you are somebody who's spiritual, whatever your spirituality is, if you want to do before you declutter, doing some sort of ritual, that's the word I was looking for. Wow. Ritual beforehand, then go do that so you're prepared for what's to come. Because I promise you, when you clear out the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual does come through. And it could be today, it could be tomorrow, or it could be next week. There is no timeline for all the mental and emotional and spiritual stuff to come out. It could all come out at once. Like, my goodness, I have had those where it has literally, I started cleaning and whatever, and then within an hour's time of me finishing, putting everything away, everything's whatever, whoosh, the waterworks, or oh, the anger, or oh, whatever else, and just the mental, the thoughts, the whatever. And I'm like, where is this? And then, of course, you sit there and you're like, you know where this is coming from. Like, even me, somebody who does this and teaches others how to do it, it still happens to me. And then I sit with it going, you know what this is. You just did that. And to me, decluttering has never been like, oh, I have to do this. It's always been oh, yay, okay, I get to do this. Oh, crap, okay, I don't like the way that looks now. Things have changed. We've changed our home. Like, I just rearranged our entire house over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, because things have changed in my life. Things have absolutely changed in my life. And now I change my environment to match it. I changed my environment to match it, and then myself also match that. My mental and my emotional can come through. And that's why my journal is a little busy the past 2 weeks. But these are the ways that I get to do this. And I'm still doing this, even as the expert, because guess what? Like I said at the beginning, this never ends. Change never ends. But with change, when we clear out the old and bring in the new, that's when the clutter shows up. Because again, it's the old meeting up with the new, and we've got to let go of the old. We got to say, so sorry. Thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for keeping me as safe as you did. Thank you for, providing me with the memories that I was able to take photos of or videos or whatever the case may be of. But you now need to go to somebody else. And if you, again, are a spiritual person, cleansing that space, cleansing that item, cleansing whatever, so that when you do move it on to the next person, if let's say you give it away to somebody else, that it allows them to accept the new energy that it brings for them. Just like if you were to accept something, like I said, in the secondhand stores, I go there all the time. All the time. I love my secondhand stores because it's just A, first of all, it's more environmentally friendly. B, it's more pocketbook friendly. But C, it's also sometimes it's like, ooh, what can I find? What little picture frame? Like I have so many picture frames. Like I literally have picture frames that were up on my grandparents' walls with the same picture that was up on their wall. And I will forever keep that because for me, even I cleansed it first before it came into my space. But for me, it brings back that memory. And I love being able to see that on my grandparents' wall. I loved being able to say that, whatever. Whereas before I had it, oh, you can't see it, but I have like a little bar that I would all put all the pictures. And it last, I guess, 2 weeks ago, I just made a decision. I'm like, why do I have them on here? I can't see them all. I'm like, I need it all on the wall. So then I took, that time and I made sure that everybody was in a frame, that everything was here, whatever. And I did a wall. And that took me whatever, I don't even know how long it took me, probably an hour, hour and a half. And then after that, the mental and emotional stuff was coming through because I cleared out the one thing. I cleared some of the pictures I did. I was like, I don't need that up there, whatever. But the mental part of it, and I knew. I was like, okay, cool. Let it come. I allowed it to come through. And that's the confidence that you get when you clear out stuff and you can consistently clear out stuff that no longer serves you, that's no longer part of your life, that no longer, yes, it did at the time, but now it doesn't. So yeah, that's it. And once you do that and you get used to that, that's the embracing the chaos. When the chaos comes, you're like, all right, I understand what this is. I know what this is. I'm going to embrace it. I know that clearing something out needs to happen. Let me figure out what it is. If I can't figure it out immediately, all right, let me just start with my physical. Always start with the physical clutter because that's when, like I said, the hand to item, hand coordination, whatever, it's got some sort of magic to it. I'm just going to call it magic. I'm sure there's an actual scientific name for it, but I'm not a scientist and I will never claim to be one. But yes, so that's why I always say start with the physical clutter and I promise you the rest will come. And then when the rest of it does come, making sure that you're set up properly so that you don't get stuck. But if you do get stuck, it's okay. Take those breaks, do something energetic, whether it's a dancing in your kitchen, go for a walk, call somebody, whatever it is, and make sure you have that buddy system. I love the buddy system, whether it's on video or whether it's in person, whether it's getting your family involved and your kids, which will be another episode is how do we get the kids involved? That's down the line. But yeah, I know it sounds like I'm making it sound simple and it's not. It's not going to be a simple process. It could take you longer than you anticipated, but that's why we use timers because again, when we time something, chances are you're going to be able to do it in the same amount of time that you actually timed yourself for, as opposed to if you don't time yourself for it, it will take you bazillion times longer. So yeah, so next time you see me, it will be on Wednesday, May 3rd at 10 a.m. EDT. So Toronto time, New York time, wherever you're listening from. And like I said earlier is, what do I do with all the stuff I've cleared? Or something like that. I'm not sure if that's going to be the exact title, but that is going to be the topic. So join me for that next month, which is only May, it's April 19th right now. Like, my goodness, talk about time going by. I remember thinking, oh, April 1st, haha, April Fools. And now I'm like, oh, April 19th. Whoa. So yeah, so this is why I'm saying I love your timer when you're decluttering. Love the fact of if you get stuck, it's okay. It happens to us all. Just know that this is just part of the journey. Embrace it. Embrace part of the journey. Declutter along the way. But make sure that you have that plan and you're prepped beforehand. And if you haven't seen that, go back to the first episode that I did about the planning and the embracing the chaos, because I talk about that as well in there. And yes, you are absolutely right. It is flying. I'm not sure what Father Time has decided for the rest of us, but my goodness, time just, it doesn't even exist in my world anymore. Like I forgot how many, I have to put timers on here because of the fact that yesterday I forgot it was Tuesday. So I'm like, what day of the week am I on? Oh, it's Tuesday, because there's certain days where, I get the kids, dad has the kids, whatever, or like certain days where it's like, okay, my son now starts boxing tonight. And I'm like, everything's going to my calendar so that it can remind me, because you know what? Trying to remember all that causes too much mental clutter for me. And I'm just like, nope, not happening. Not happening. So yeah, so that's why I have so many notebooks about different things. And yeah, join me next time. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Sacred Yin Secrets, for watching. And and anyone who's on the replay, anyone else, thank you. I appreciate you. And we will talk to you later.